All right. Here today, I'm so happy and excited to have Cheryl and CJ, dear friends of mine for almost 20 years now.
Long
Time
time.
Yes,
flies.
long time.
My
Yeah.
goodness, this
It
is
was
great.
Fernando from Orlando.
Yeah. That's where it originated, right?
Yes. Fernando used to live in
That was in my
Orlando.
phone.
Yeah. That's how
Yeah, on the phone.
Uh-huh.
I had CJ Vegas for a long time. I just updated and Cheryl too. Cheryl
Yeah.
Vegas.
That's how you
And
know.
what's that?
That's how you know where people are from. You put it in there.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
those keywords, easy to remember.
hmm
And it's been great to reconnect. And now that you've uh, been traveling, you were traveling for so many years, you raised a family while traveling.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience. I didn't raise a family, but I traveled for many years, motorhomes and having businesses at the same time. And now we're reconnecting on the subject or the topic of parenting and family flow as I prepare myself to be a parent one day, someday soon. And you have been, and you are. And hearing your stories, I'm just so happy that we get to work on this project together.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
What's that?
It's awesome. Yeah. We like
Yeah.
that we reconnected and everyone's in a different stage. You know what I mean? And whether you have children or you've had children
Yes.
or you're thinking about having children
Or even
or
helping people out.
or just being a good friend or a good, relative, neighbor, it really is a community. And so these are life skills for really everyone.
Yes. And the people you keep in your circle also.
Exposure, whoever you expose yourself to, you become.
hmm
And you just shared some of the wins that your kids have had, today being the last day of school.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then let's start there. Why do you think your kids have gotten the awards they got?
I think the reason is because the main reason is we homeschooled the kiddos. And so while we were traveling, that was always, I was homeschooled. And so therefore, when we got together and we had children, the plan was and still is to homeschool them. We just happened to move last year to a very small community, very rural.
Yes.
And so the kids wanted to experience what school is like. And we thought, you know what?
Yeah, it was only 8 minutes away. So
Now is as good time as ever. But we did look into that to make sure, it still had the same values and
yes,
what they were teaching was congruent with, what we teach. And so
teaching them to be champions.
yeah. And so we decided, all right, if they want to experience this, who were we to stand in their way from that?
Yes.
And so we sent them, on their way. And I think because of the foundation that has been laid for them,
Yes.
through, our
Homeschooling.
parenting, but also like we talked about before, parenting is more than just telling your children what to do. It's that they
Yeah.
emulate and they watch what you do, right?
Mhm.
They see, and that's how they learn. They see by what are they seeing? What are they in? What are you doing? And they pick those things up. And so while you're
Correct.
instilling confidence in your children and values
Yes.
and morals and standards and,
Mhm.
all those types of things, you're not just teaching them those things, you're teaching them by doing those things in your home, in your community,
Right.
everywhere you go. And so I think when they went to school, they took that with them.
Yes.
And like we were
And the
talking,
teachers reach out to us all the time.
yeah, and they say they're awesome kids. Like they're just, and as a parent,
That feels good.
that feels good. It's like, okay, we're doing something
Yeah.
right, something different,
Right.
that the children are standing out in a good way, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of times you hear from them, if it's not, if it's the opposite, you're getting a
Right.
call or something, but just stop and say, hey, you know what, your kids, all three of them, they're awesome. It's like,
Caring
thank
and
you.
loving. And then they're even fighting over our youngest. Who's going to teach him, who has him the longest,
yeah, who gets them in
'Cause-
class?
who gets him in class because he smiles, he helps.
And it comes from within. And so, while we want our children to do their best and to excel in everything that they do, we
Yes.
also tell them, like, you're going to school, and yes, a grade is a marker. And yet for us, a grade means you're doing well on tests, right? You're doing
Yes.
really good in the academic lane that they want you to be in. It means you're giving them the answers that they want to hear, right? Or whatever that is. And we want them to know, like, while that's good and we appreciate that, we want you to be your best
Right.
self. You
And
know,
live life.
we want to make sure that you're not just going with the flow, that you do question, or that you do
Yes.
ask, or that you say, hey, this doesn't
Mhm.
sound right to me. Why are we doing
Right.
this? Or
Yes, don't follow the sheep this
right,
way.
don't go with the herd and go with just the
Yes.
flow of what everyone else is doing.
Use examples when it's happening to us, like
Yeah.
in lines for a store, Costco. You got 100 people in one line, but if you move over to your right, there's no line.
Right. And it's showing them all of these different things. And I think that is the reason that they excelled. You know, they're on honor roll, or they get awards and accolades, not just because of the grades. While they get those, it's because they're all a well-rounded individual, a well-rounded person, that they care, they go the extra mile, they look and
Right.
see, how can I help, or what else can I do, or you know, how can I give someone a smile or a hug, or
Right.
it's more than just the academics.
And it also helped when we did our travels also,
It did.
because we were, every couple days, we're somewhere else, you know, jumped on an RV and we were gone.
And so they
So-
always had new experiences and met new people and went through new things.
Yes.
And while they were, you know, a lot of people say, well, why do you travel with your children when they're so young? Right. I mean, we took off and Mason was 3, Riley was not even 5 yet, and Jaden was
7.
6 turning
They're
7.
All 22 months apart.
And so, and we did that for a solid 2 years. And so they had a lot of formidable years while we were traveling with
Yes.
them. And it's funny now looking back at that, they talk about those things
All the time.
because we do have photographs that they can go back through, and it ignites that memory in them again.
Yes.
And so, you know, we say, like, go, like, what do your kids want to do? Take them in that direction and let them explore and take them to new
Experience.
places and let them do new things. That's how they learn. That's how they grow.
Yes.
That's how they figure out the things that they like and that they don't like, or what they want to do, or, and the
Mhm.
same thing in life. Like, you know, when you're from preschool to, you know, 12th grade, and if you continue on to college, it's very regimented. People tell you what to do, what
They're
time you
at
need to
all
show up,
times.
you know, what the expectations are. But when you're thrust out into life, and I think that's where the disconnect happens for a lot of young adults,
They don't know what
is
to do.
they don't know what to do
And they're
because
off track on
there's no
everything.
one telling them what to do, right?
Mhm.
No one has said, go, do, be, experience, create, grow. And,
Just like in armed forces, similar.
right,
When they come out, they don't know what to do.
because everything has been,
Right.
they've
Their-
been told.
Their food, the schedule, when you sleep, when you wake up.
And so, you know, while the children are younger, if you can instill in them, yes, we need structure and we need routine, and yet you need some pattern interrupts to come in there as well. You need some things that come in and say, hey, you know, this is something
Break it up.
different. What are we doing here? Like, how are we
Yes.
going to address this? How are we going to handle this obstacle or this course change? And that's also
Mhm.
why, like, you know, we've moved quite a bit with the kiddos too.
Yes. And we moved within a week.
And when we
days.
decide we're going somewhere, it's like, done, we're gone.
We go.
Right. And so they're used to picking up and moving and creating something new wherever they are. And
And when we don't, they're on us
yeah,
hard.
even our youngest, like he's like, why aren't we traveling? Why aren't we going places?
Right.
How come we're not in an
Where's
RV?
the RV?
Like
Let's
we
go.
want to go, we want to do. And also what that instilled in the kids too is, you know, they have things that they like toys or games or other things. But when we lived in an RV, we only had the space that we had, right? And that was it. Everything else was sold off, and
Yep.
they had the things that were most precious to
What are
them
you
at that
giving away?
time. And so they have learned to go through and figure out, what do we like? What do we want?
Mhm.
What are we donating to someone else so
I
they
don't
can
need
have
this at
that?
this time. I used it already.
Yeah, I'm done with it. And so letting new things, because when you let go of old things, that
New
brings
things
space
come to you.
for new things to come into your life as well. And
Right.
so that's another thing that
In
they have
life.
learned
Yes.
is let go of the old to create space for the new. And that's the same thing that we do for birthdays or holidays, you know, when they
Yeah.
like, you know, we get them things, and grandparents, aunts and uncles. So they start getting like more stuff.
Right.
And we even had a time there for a while. I was like, okay, we're traveling. We don't need more stuff.
No, we just need things to
Experience.
do as a family.
Yeah, we want more experiences together as a
Yes.
family, and coming up on a,
Swim lessons
Yeah.
for even though they were in swim for years, but we did it as a family.
yeah, let's do a family. And that's how you create memories with your children. Some people talk about, you know, you only had 18 summers, you know, with your kids, and we're coming up on another summer, right? And it's like, after that, okay, they're kind of off, and you hope that they're off, leading their own life and creating and doing, and yet each one of those is precious. And so what are you doing with that time, right? Are you having just another one come, another one go? Or are you creating memories and creating experiences? And that doesn't mean you have to fly off and go over here and go
No,
over there.
Take a weekend.
It's together time. And that's really what the children crave, is time. That's what
Right.
they want. They want time together, your undivided attention, and
Mhm.
really
Not
children.
on the phone.
No, and children spell love as time. The more undivided attention that you can give to them in what they're interested in, that's what fills their cup.
Right.
And yes,
And your cup too.
Yeah.
And they have to sit on your lap.
yeah, well, they
Each at a time.
they all
To
get
fight
the time.
over the lap time on the recliner with wifey over here.
Yeah, that's their routine. They're used to, everyone has mommy time in
Yeah,
in the
now they're
evening.
jumping on my lap.
And so, and as they get older, it gets a little more cumbersome.
And heavier. Yes.
I got to get stronger to be able to handle the.
We gotta upgrade our chair. Jaden's getting big, boy.
Yeah.
He's about this tall now.
He's
He's
5
get-
foot. He's got a size 8.5 men's shoe. I mean, he's 11.
And he's
So he's going to be a big boy. And so that's,
Slim, though.
bring it
Yeah.
back to, what we're talking about is like, you instill these things in your children by leading through example, right? Same thing, like they watch us get up and we do our workout. We do our prayer and meditation, visualization, reading.
Get our
Well,
steps in.
guess what they want to do? They want to get up and they want to read and they want to,
Mhm.
work out, and they want to do their push-ups or their outside
Mhm.
playing basketball or riding their bike.
Yep, he's hurting
Why?
now.
Because that's what
Those
they see.
push-ups.
Yeah, he's now Jaden's he wants to do as many push-ups as he can. So he's in a competition with himself. Again, why?
Mhm.
Because he wants to get bigger and stronger and better. And
Right.
so they've seen, like, we create games with ourselves. How can we push ourselves today? Like if we're doing,
Mhm.
25 push-ups here, how can we do 30 tomorrow? And how do you just keep incrementally building that? But you instill that in your children. Your children see that. And so then they want to do it versus saying, hey, eat really good food and work out,
Yes.
and you're eating crap and
Right.
sitting on it and watching TV.
Yeah, certain foods don't even come in the house.
It's not congruent, right? They're like, well, why am I going to do that if you're not? Like,
Right.
because again, it's not what you say, it's what you do. And so
Yes.
everything comes back to, why did they do so well in school?
Mhm.
Because they pushed themselves to be the best version of themselves
Yes.
while they were there.
I love this so much. So many gems you both dropped there. And what came in my mind when you said a few things regarding being able to let go, to teach kids to let go, is the story of you two meeting.
Yes.
How did you two meet, and what had been your journey, in your personal development up to that moment? Because I think that will let the viewers and the listeners know, why is it that you are the way that you are individually and as a couple. So
Yes.
where did you meet? What was the setting? And what was life prior to that setting that caused you to be in that setting?
Well, we met at a personal development event.
There you go,
So-
right there.
That's where we met.
Yes.
So, that's the foundation, of our relationship is
Mhm.
we were coming from very different backgrounds and
Yes.
very different perspectives,
Mhm.
even at that point,
Right.
and different ages. Like we're just totally different, right?
Totally. in every way.
And so where we came on common ground, though, is that we were in a personal development
A
event
different setting.
in a different setting where we were looking to
Mm-hmm.
level up, our lives and where we were
Yes.
going. And so that's the
Mhm.
foundation, of our relationship, is growth and change.
Change
And
and molding together. as one.
and that's how our relation, that's the foundation. And that's what everything is built upon,
Mhm.
is that, because our backgrounds are so different, right? I mean,
Yes.
he's older than I am. He's had more other experience.
Retired dancer.
Yeah. And so he has a whole life, and we came together and,
Mhm.
created what we have now,
Yeah,
but
right.
definitely very, very different backgrounds.
Yes. And didn't want anything stagnant, just like we were looking at each other going, is there more to life than this? Than just doing the same thing over and over again. And then we started talking about, let's travel.
Yeah.
But how are we going to travel? Let's go to national parks. Well, those hotels are nasty. We don't want to even walk in or take off your shoes. What else can we do? RVs are kind of cool. Have I ever had one? Have she had one? No. So it was a weekend. So Sunday, we were online looking at all the stuff, the dry weight, this weight, what's
Didn't know what
big,
any of that meant.
right, looking. And then all of a sudden the next day we're in Denver. So we took an hour drive and we did a tour on all the RVs for our new vehicle that we had. So we got a lightweight vehicle for the vehicle we had. And then come to find out that wasn't the right vehicle after our ice storm, as soon as we picked it up from Cleveland, that we went and got a truck at the same dealership, same person.
And yeah, and so
Yeah.
I think the reason that we have been so adaptable and growth
Go
mindset
with
and
the flow.
change, go with the flow until the
And-
flow is not flowing anymore. And then you've got to put some, kind of like beavers,
Yeah.
it's flowing just fine.
Yes.
But then if you want something different, you've got to build something different, right?
Yes, and
You-
pivot.
You've got to pivot. And so we're always like, what do we need to do to pivot, right? Are we stagnant? Do we have some stagnant water sitting here right now?
Right.
Okay, what are we doing to change, right?
Mhm.
Instead of just going, well, hey, it's kind of comfortable, it's,
Yeah,
and-
let's do the same thing
and
every
if we
day.
get into comfortable, that's when we've got to change. Because if
Yes,
we're comfortable, it means we're not leveling up. We're not playing at a higher
No.
level. We're not continuing to grow our relationship, our business, our
Yes.
children,
date nights,
our
date
mindset.
lunches, are you doing anything?
any of that kind of stuff. It's like, it has to be a constant, ever evolving,
Mhm.
growing, changing organism.
Yes,
And from the root of us coming together at a personal development event and continuing to grow and blossom from there, I
Yes.
think that is why we are who we are and
Mhm.
how we are able to, mesh so well together
Grow.
and pivot and not,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's like, it goes unsaid until it's like, okay, we look at each other and we're like, is it
Yeah.
time for a change? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
You were thinking the same thing? Okay, great.
Yes,
What's the change gonna be, right?
right, and
or-
then figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Like, we're on a farm, people. I mean, come on. World's gone kind of crazy. We want to experience something different.
Yeah.
So we talked about it. I'm at an event. I found a place, honey. Where at?
Yeah.
And then
I picked him up from the
picked him
airport.
up.
It was like his flight got in at like 10:30 at night. And again, it was in Denver. So we had to drive an hour and a half to pick him up. And then we drove an hour and a half back home. And at 6 o'clock the next morning, we were driving to go check out this property because
Yes.
it's like when it's time for
Flow.
things to go, things start flowing. And
Yes.
and the other thing is
And it
like,
was out of the blue. How
Right.
she found it, there was nothing with a chicken area that's separate, with barns, with
fencing,
land, with fencing.
and a decent house, right? I wasn't gonna
Yes,
go live
the
in.
crap, they're horrible on these farms. They're
are.
1942.
Yeah, it's like you might have some running water. It might work some of the time.
Yeah, all
And
the rust.
it might be the rainwater dripping through your roof.
Yeah,
So,
so that's when we say no, because it has to be
right,
a
it's gotta
certain
fit.
level.
It's gotta fit. And so we
Yes.
decided, we were looking because we were open to that. It was like, what's the next thing for us? We want to experience this and see, is this something we want to do long-term? Is this something that we enjoy? Is
Yes.
this where our path is leading us next, right?
Right.
And so what do? You look, you find, when you
You
find
jump
it,
into-
you jump on it.
12 days, as soon as we got here, we already had a lot of chickens
So it's like, you gotta
right
move.
away.
And that's
Then we got hundreds.
Yeah. because when we do something, we go all in, right?
Then
So
we got turkeys.
if you want some eggs, why don't you get 96, hens and have some eggs? Or if you're gonna have meat birds, why don't you get 225 chickens so you can stock your freezer?
Right.
Or, if
Right.
you're gonna
It
raise.
was about stocking also.
Yeah, it was like, if we're gonna do this, let's go all in on it and figure out, like, not dip our toe in, like, we can get a
Right.
couple chickens.
Gardening, she wasn't the queen of gardening, but she kept checking out all the books and going over and over again. We had about 15,000 square feet of garden.
And dug by
So,
hand. like,
Dug, and then we waited for dirt forever.
Yeah, we finally got it.
Finally got it dumped, and then we have raised beds.
Yeah, so we made raised. So all of these things, and it all comes from, you have to be willing to jump in, go all in, get your hands dirty, roll up
Yeah.
your sleeves and
Get sweat, get a couple
experience.
shades darker,
Yeah,
you know.
experience it fully for sure.
because we were in the sun. And of course, that year it was super hot.
Yeah,
It was super hot.
that was last.
So last year I changed for sure today.
This guy looks like a pool, and if he's outside and it's hot, it's
Yeah,
just,
it's.
it's
mm.
not. Yeah.
Then you
Wow.
realize maybe we should get to know farmers and get them directly from the farmers. So you don't have to clean up all the poop every day
Yeah.
and all the stuff that comes with it
Yeah. So
and all the thousands of dollars just for the feed.
mm,
I mean, you know how many chickens we can get for thousands of dollars? You know what kind of chickens we can get?
Yeah. So again, it's like, it all comes back to when we decide to do something, we go all in. We go to the deep end of the pool, and we might not know how to swim in that particular deep end, but you figure it out real fast, because
these hands got real dirty.
Yeah. And I didn't, like,
And
at
with
least
the
I'm
chickens,
washable.
she was the one.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Very good. It's because, you got children, you got to get your hands dirty, so, but it's that is the basis of our relationship, and it continues to be the basis of our relationship. And we just celebrated our 13-year wedding anniversary, last month, and it continues to, and we were together 4 years before that. And so it's grows and thrives, and we're not the same people we were when we first met, and we shouldn't be, right? We have a lot more experience and growth and understanding and just
and plans
and dreams and aspirations. When we have we have 3 children, and all, it's not the same, and that's okay. Like, I don't want to be the same today and tomorrow and yesterday. I want to always be
adapting,
growing and changing and moving and pushing ourselves. And that's what we do individually. We work on ourselves individually so that we can come together and work on a relationship together, so that we can, show our children and help work with our children so that they can continue to level up as well. And so
be nice to each other.
It's a constant,
care about people.
it's a constant flow of growth, change, adaptation, unknown, and just continue to level up and go all in. Because there is, if you dip your toe in the water, one way, your butt's somewhere, but it's not all in, right?
Correct.
And so you've got to just go. And if that's in a relationship, go all in. What's the worst that can happen, right? So then you
jump out.
And then you decide this is not working, then you freaking go all out, right? And it's this, what the world does nowadays. It's like, I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna see how I like it. And
right, like we've even done in the past.
You're not going all in, so you're not really getting all the data or all the information or really knowing what the heck it is you're doing. When you go all in on a relationship, or you go all in and say, you know what, we're having kids, we're all in on this, right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, that's the next step. Let's work towards that, right? Or we're going all in on our relationship, like this. We're going all in on our business, or we're whatever that is,
or
for
even
you.
giving birth.
Yeah,
all in.
Like, we're going all in. It's like
all 3 at
this
home.
this is the plan. This is what we're doing. We're all in on it, right? Because there is no alternative. And when you don't have a plan B because you're all in on your plan A, now if plan A falls apart, great. At least you knew you were completely in it. You gave it everything.
You pivot from there.
You pivot and continue to grow and change.
Right.
Wow. So many gems, golden nuggets there. I want to go into a little bit about the natural births, natural birthing. You had 3 children.
Tubs. Thank you, birthing tubs, because it soothed my honey. It soothed her. It soothed me because I was in there too, but freaking out. But that was good.
So why natural birthing? Why not go to the route that's thousands of people have gone probably last night?
Yeah,
that they say you should do when you
this
really don't
this
need
is
to.
Something we were on different pages about, were we not?
Yeah, well, I didn't know much about it.
He didn't, because he didn't know, right?
Remember,
and
I was traveling the country. I'm a dancer, forever.
He didn't know that there was an alternative to, you're having a baby, you go to the hospital, and that's where you give birth, because that's what he grew up knowing, right? I think this brings up a good conversation, is that you don't know what you don't know, right? And so many people don't know that there is an alternative to the mainstream way of birth. It's painful. You got to scream, you got to yell, you got to get an epidural. Maybe you need to get cut open. The doctor's going to
scheduled to cut open.
That too.
Tea time after their golf.
Right.
And then let me schedule that in, and then they can do what they want to do.
And again, nothing against modern medicine, but it needs to be used when it's needs to be used, not as the first and foremost. I mean, our plan B was, look, if shit hit the fan and went awry, then obviously I want my baby to be safe and healthy. I want myself to be safe and healthy.
Yes.
So whatever that is at that point, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
But I was fine after our first meeting.
Yeah. So
that's all I needed, was a meeting.
Who
we were going to be dealing with, and then I was fine.
Yeah. And
matter of fact, got it more excited because of how awesome we had the perfect people around us.
Right. And so I grew up with more of an alternative, I was homeschooled. My dad was a chiropractor. We didn't go to the doctor all the time. I'm one of 5 children. My mother, she did have 2 hospital births with my older brother and me, my younger siblings, which are much younger than I am. So, I watched my mom, give birth at home, different experience than what I had. Cause she just did, total, not a birthing tub, not, really meditative birthing. She just kind of, old school way of doing. So that was my exposure. That's what I knew. And so I knew when I had children one day, that was what I was going to do, because to me, that seemed like the more logical, reasonable. My body knows what to do. I'm going to trust in my body. Women have been doing this for, thousands of years. That's the path I want to take. And so when we came together, we're like, okay, well, now we're in a stage we're ready to have children. That was a conversation that we had to have. And he was open-minded to that. And so we explored that, right? He got more comfortable with, oh, okay, well, you're not sick, you're not dying, you don't have complications. So it makes sense. Okay, why would we go to the hospital, right? Why can't we have the environment that's more safe and conducive and inviting, and where I feel comfortable and where we feel comfortable to bring our children into the world? And so
that's the part I love the most, is there was a lot involved with what makes you the most comfortable?
Yeah.
What kind of music do you want?
What ambiance do you want?
Ambiance. With my video that I made,
Yeah.
I mean, audio I made for you with the music, you're this and you're ovulating,
So it's a whole
thing.
experience. And yet you're creating that experience because you're creating the space where you feel most comfortable to give birth to your child in. And so that's how it came about for us, is that we wanted a natural birth. I wanted to be able to, bring our children into the world in an environment that felt safe and that felt comforting and that felt just like it was supposed to be. Yes. And so that's how we came about that journey. And then because when you are pregnant, it's like, okay, well, we're really doing this now. So you learn and you grow and you take classes and you read books and you talk about things and you just get more comfortable, and you got lots of time, you got 40, maybe 36 to 40 weeks in there once you find out, so maybe you got, 30 weeks that you're really, okay, this is what we're doing. Well, that's plenty of time to prepare, right? That's plenty of time to get comfortable with the idea, to visualize, to see what you want and what the experience is going to be. And because you're so attuned to what you want and where it's going to be and what you're visualizing, you get more and more comfortable. So when the day does come, it's like, oh, well, here it is. I've been
having an ambulance outside just because, just in case.
Or, having to drive to the hospital. Are we good enough on our contractions?
Right.
Okay, it's time to go now. And so, you're carted off to somewhere else where you don't know the people. It might be someone It's just that wasn't the experience that we wanted. Not to say, you know what, if that's the experience that you've chosen because that was the best choice
for you,
time. Awesome. Great. Be empowered in that. But I think the challenge is so many women and families don't know that there are other options. Now, I will say it is getting more exposure nowadays than what it used to. It's not nearly as taboo of a subject to have a home birth or to have a water birth or all those other things. And a lot of women, after their first not so great, mainstream medical birth experience, they start looking for alternate experiences on their second or third or fourth, child.
Because they don't want to experience.
They don't want that same experience, right? So and with the internet, there's lots of ways to research and get into that, but it's
they want their baby on their shoulder,
right? It's
it's
to beautiful.
Feel the mother's warmth.
Yeah, it really
not
is
being taken away.
And it really is a transformative experience. And you make sure that you have qualified people around you as well. So if anything does go awry, they're
trained
to handle that. And as a backup, if something does arise and you do need to go, then okay, info. This, if baby's not doing well or mommy's not doing well, then you go. That would make sense, right? Just like anything. Like if you get a cut on your finger, you put a Band-Aid on it and you kiss it, it's all better, right? Yep. If you cut your finger and it's profusely bleeding and it's a huge gash, or you cut your arm off, well, then of course now is the time to seek seek the medical help that you might need at that point.
Or bust
So-
out the crazy glue.
Well, yeah, or yeah, the crazy glue, that helps them a lot. But there's a time for everything
Yes.
and a circumstance as to why you would use that, but
Mhm.
not because, again, like we were talking about earlier, the sheep, just because that's what everyone's doing, just because that's what they show in the movies or that's what's been
Right.
glamorized, does not mean that's the way that you need
Your
to go.
your private room.
Yeah.
The flowers and everything else like that.
And
not
nowadays
that way.
we live in a very medicalized society, right?
Yep.
And so they want their money. And it is a much more cost-effective thing to have a home birth. It just is. But the medical industry does not get their money
No.
if you're giving birth at home.
So everything's
Right.
against that.
If you're not
They're pushing
scheduling,
against it.
if you're not scheduling your C-section, which is major surgery, right?
Yeah.
It's money on top of money on top of money on top of money. And that is the reason it's pushed the way it is, because it's a profit center versus,
Yes.
women doing what they've done for thousands and thousands of years, which is give birth. That's what your body is meant to do.
Yes.
We interrupt that
Mhm.
and put it over here, just like a lot of things in life. Where's the money? Follow money. And there's normally the reason behind it.
The only pills you took were your own.
Yeah. That's a whole different story.
Yes.
Wow.
Dry placenta.
Yeah, that's a different topic. but
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. This is so liberating to hear. That you had 3 natural births using meditation, visualization,
Mhm.
water at home. Wow. With the life partner.
Mhm.
Who
And
who
the
else
third
did you
one
have
was-
help?
So we had a midwife that we had, and each state, and that is the challenge in some states that you live in. Sometimes they don't allow for home births, right? Maybe they only allow for, if you still want to have a midwife, you would need to have it at a birthing center, which is not like home, but it's not quite like the hospital, but it's leaning more towards that.
Yes.
But it's every state has their own regulations as to what you can and can't do, which is
You know why the regulations are there.
mind-boggling to me in the first place. I mean, it's my body, everyone loves my body, my choice, but where you have your baby apparently is not your choice in certain
No.
states. So that is interesting, right? And so, if you're looking at having, a family and that you want to have a home birth, you might want to look into what are the regulations in the state that you live in, and is that an option for you, right? Because if not, well then,
Right.
that
You might have to
if-
make some different plans.
we talked about earlier, pivot, change, adapt, grow,
Yes.
but you don't,
The last trimester, you could be living with family instead,
right?
where you can have anything you want.
So it's sometimes you got to pivot, you got to grow, you got to change and adapt, but you have to look into these things and do some research to figure out, what are you able to do? What can you do? Is this the direction you want to go? And is that something you want to fight for? And if so, then, make the choices accordingly for that. Because I
Yes.
know when we lived in, Nevada, and we had 2 of our children, then we moved to Florida,
It's totally
it's a
different.
totally different experience, different providers, different. And so it is depending on where you live and depending on who you choose as, your care provider, it makes a
Yes.
difference in the experience. And that's
Right.
why I say, like, don't just go with the first one, interview, research them, figure out who do you feel most confident with, who does
Yes,
your
and
partner feel
comfortable
comfortable
with,
with.
and make sure they're not cold.
Yeah.
Like
want
like our last
inviting.
one. It was totally different
Yeah.
because you might as well have been in a hospital, the way they were treating us.
Yeah, it was more because, again, they
Old.
push more for birthing center experience, not as much of the home birth.
Mhm.
That's what they were wanting more there. And because I had already had 2 children at home birth, I kind of knew what I was doing. I just wanted someone there, in case anything, needed to
She
be
almost beat them before they got there anyway,
handled,
because it was our third. So-
to be able to take care of that. So do your research, really look into and put some time into these decisions. And that's really, the best thing that you can do, because the more informed you are,
Yep.
the more choices you have.
Yes, and we took
Mm.
classes after classes to figure it out.
Wow. I'm looking forward to meeting your kids
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
soon and seeing you in person soon too. How about we go into why is it that we are we're doing this, meaning why are we having this conversation and why are we putting it out to the public, and why are we having this conversation so that parents can have family flow? So let's go into that. So CJ, you and I connected a few weeks ago, reconnected a few weeks ago, and then it was lovely. And then there was something there that I was working on my end, and something that you've been working on with Cheryl on your end, which is being amazing parents, outstanding parents. And here I was, doing some research and working on a project regarding natural birthing and the how positive it can be for humanity. And I think we just, felt like it was something that we could bring to the world. So let's talk a little bit about that. This project that we're creating, the family flow, that parents can become part of a community, that we can meet once a week, share stories, share insights, share tactics, strategies, and rise above. So share a little bit about this project that we're creating here.
Well, I would say, I think we all felt a calling, right? Like there was something that we were supposed to be doing together. And after some, conversations, we decided like there is a reason that we're all together. Everything happens for a reason, right? And so sometimes those rekindling of relationships or those reconnections, you have to look into why now, like why are our paths crossing again at this moment in time? And I think it's because we all see a need for getting back to the roots and getting back to the basics and really coming back down to the fundamentals of, what is a family and what are we as a society creating and seeing as a family? And so many families nowadays are turning away from that and saying, no, this is not working for me. Right?
Yeah. You don't want the iPads in their hands all the time just to shut them up while you're basically living your life without your kids.
Right. And so many people are feeling the need to go more inward, a lot of people are starting to homeschool or, take their children
have to homeschool
because they don't like what they're seeing or what's going on in the world or what their children are learning and it starts again with that. When we can bring our family inward and we can build a strong family foundation and we can instill values and traits and harmony in the family, that helps that flow, right?
Because it starts with the foundation. You have to build that first, right, before anything else.
And no matter what relationship, some people are married, some people are single, some people are, living with other family members, extended family. A family makes up a lot of different things. And yet at the end of the day, you want your family to flow. You want your family to thrive and to grow
and be tight-knit
together. And so that way, when the children do become of age and they go off on their own, that they have the ability to thrive and to then start their own families or go on their own journeys. And so I think
have the support of your family.
And what we saw is like there is a hunger in the world for more family conversation that's based around the foundation and the fundamentals of what being a family really is, and how can we all bring that back synergistically to create that flow, to create that love, to
building character,
to have the values that you want to instill so that you do create, a family and little humans and also though they continue to grow into adults, right? But
and special people.
It goes out from your family and goes to the families that right? And then your community. And this is how we build something.
And everyone around you.
Bigger.
They'll feel that. They'll see the love. They'll see the caring.
The connection that's
going on around your system.
And they'll want to know, what are you doing? Like, how are you guys navigating, the world so well? Or how are you, handling this challenge or obstacle? Right. And that's the other thing is like challenges and obstacles are always going to come, right? It's how you handle it. How do you handle it? How do you overcome it? How do you get to the other side? And when people are a witness to that, they're like, okay, well, that's, I want to, I want more of that, right?
Yes, so or more of our kids.
And that's how you grow and make this a ripple effect in your family and in your community and out into, the world, is by us all coming inward for a while to build that strong family
Yes.
foundation to
Mhm.
then be able to grow and thrive from.
Right. Because building that family unit's so important.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great. And I'm dating, so I'm not a parent. And I believe one of my calling here to be part of this project for Family Flow is to prepare myself to have family flow.
Yeah.
Nothing
Starting
like
with self.
separation.
Yep.
And so I feel so honored and privileged to be doing this with you both, because I'm going to be learning so much. And also, I feel like I have things I can bring to the table for
Yes.
that can help people. So similar to you, I traveled for many years, motorhomes, different countries,
That's gonna
having
help you so
businesses on
much.
autopilot. And
Mhm.
I think what you did, I was doing, but I didn't know that you were doing that. And you had the family while you did that. So that to me is amazing.
We wouldn't have
So
done it
many,
without the family.
Yeah.
exactly. So I think by joining forces, joining our expertise, our experiences, I think we can create a space for families or families to be. So it could be even people that don't have families yet, that want to
Yes.
be prepared to, starting with self, have the family flow. So for years, for instance, one of my guiding principles and decision-making tools has been a question. And the question is it good for children? Because if it's good for children, it's good for everyone.
Mhm.
Yes.
Is it
Yep.
good for children? If it's good for children, it's good for everyone.
Love it.
Yeah.
And
I think if we took that as the
Mhm.
litmus test for a lot of things in the world, there'd be a lot
Yes.
of things that aren't going on, that aren't happening.
Right. Like even
Because-
TV shows,
Yeah, it's
TV in general,
I think
radio.
that's and to say what offer, you have a lot to offer as well, but also there's a lot of people who are in your shoes too, right? Who are in a relationship or are thinking about getting in a relationship, or there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be in a relationship because
Mhm.
I see what's going on in the world and I don't want
Yes,
that.
they're scared.
Right. So a lot of people are withholding from getting into serious relationships or even
Mhm.
contemplating not having children because they don't want to bring children into this, or they don't want their children to end up like that. Right.
But
And
they're
so,
missing out from the love of their life also.
right. And so they're also though missing out on, if you go through training, just like anything, the more you do something, the better you get. If you want to become better at something, you learn, you dive in and you grow from that. And so even before you have a relationship or before you have children or before you start on that journey, if you can be working on yourself
Yeah, your
with
inner-
the end result of, I do want to be in a relationship, I do want to, have a family, I do want these things, then you're
Yes.
more equipped because you have more tools
Yes,
in your
in your
tool
tool
belt
belt.
to
Yep.
be able to help you with that. So I think it's great, for people who aren't, in a relationship, who are starting a relationship, or, who
Mhm.
are in a relationship and they're thinking about taking that to the next level.
It's even better
Yeah, because then you're
because we have the full circle.
right. So you are, starting from the beginning, which is a great place to build a foundation versus, if you're already married and you do have children that are older, it can kind of be a little more difficult to break those patterns,
norms.
right? Or
Mhm.
to build a different foundation than what you already built upon. So,
Mhm.
starting before you even have that is a great place to start.
Yes.
absolutely. Wow, this has been great. I'm so grateful. And
pleasure.
Yeah, we're glad we can, jump on here and do this on a consistent basis. And, we're just looking to, we know the right people will come that are meant to,
Yes.
that are ready for
Naturally.
this message and who are ready for growth and change and a little bit different way of doing things
Yes,
and
for the
having,
trio.
and having that flow.
wonderful. Oh, let's end this amazing conversation. For now, we're going to have many more. And for those watching, listening, there might be some information with this video or audio. And if this is aligning with you, then join us. Love
For sure. We
to.
love that.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Cheryl and CJ, we'll
right, my
speak to
friend.
you soon.
Talk to you soon.
And
Fernando.
bye for now.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.